I didn't check the questions as well if there's been any more.
Let's have a.
I think they come up on the eCam. I think we were also live.
Sweet.
I will start it. Just no, things have been clicked that are not supposed to be clicked. Let's set.
What I like about doing this is how smoothly it always runs.
But I think that's the beauty of going live, is that no one expects it to be smooth.
It's like a gel free card.
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas if it's just not that any editing exists in any of the stuff that I.
Of course.
Yeah. That's why I do That's why I like doing the ones I do it presentation style now, because then I can just make the slides, and then I can just like riff off of the slides basically. And
I've never told you I've got like a 6-hour presentation to write.
what's that on?
I'll probably do it on.
Oh yeah, no, you did tell me.
Visualization of long-term athlete development, because it's catchy.
That is catchy, and but you could also there's enough areas to go down.
Yeah.
What's going on, everyone? If you are joining us, we are live on the Rugby Muscle YouTube channel doing a live Q&A. I'm your host, as usual, TJ, joined once again by Alex. And Alex, mate, this is like old times, except this is the first time we've ever done a live one of these in person.
How weird.
Yeah.
Like 10 years as well.
Nah, 5 years or so. I can't remember how long it must have been like 2015 we first envisioned it. Been a while indeed. But now we've got, it's been a long time coming actually, 4,000 subscribers.
Really?
Yeah. And so that's our, that's why I'm, this is a long overdue Q&A, because we got 4,000 subscribers a few weeks ago, and I just forgot to do the Q&A. I got a few people to ask questions, which we're going to answer in this episode. But before we do that, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you happen to come across the YouTube channel, because help us grow to 5,000 and then 10,000 subscribers. Ask any questions, because if we get enough questions, we might do this either once a week or once every 2 weeks. I think I was doing these quite often on the Rugby Muscle Facebook page or on the Facebook group, and they were getting really popular and allow you to get into the nuance. So I absolutely think that if you have got problems with your rugby strength and conditioning or anything strength and conditioning or fitness wise, like, you're never going to get a one sentence answer that's actually going to be beneficial. You need a lot more nuance to that, and we can do that in these sort of situational videos and whatnot. So without further ado, I knew it wouldn't transfer onto my phone. It should be. The question should be on my phone, but I can't see them. So I will have to read them off of here. Yeah.
Sweet.
Again, if you're watching on the live feed, send us a comment. Let me know how the sound is, but also ask any questions in the comments, because if they're asked on the live feed, they will get prioritized and they will be answered. First question, mate, we'll ask here, if I can move this camera out of the way, is, there we go, improving power with an elbow with limited range of motion. I can't hold a bar in a clean position, elbows up. You want to riff, because you haven't really said anything yet?
Yeah, I think that he's creating a limiting factor for himself already, just by assuming that he has to clean to great power.
Yeah.
Like that, it's just not needed. I don't do any Olympic lifting, anyone, unless they already have an Olympic lifting background. It's not the only way to create power. Anything where you're moving like a medium to heavy load quickly is grand. I don't think you just have to clean just because it's what's on Instagram. You know?
If anything, like, clean's quite a bad power lift, because it's so easy to mess up.
Yeah, so the correlation between clean performance and sports performance stops when the bar starts moving less than about 0.6 meters a second.
Yeah.
And you'll see a bunch of people do very slow cleans.
Yeah.
And a carryover stops them. So I wouldn't worry about that. I think if you can do something different, go for it.
I would say this particular person could probably do good cleans, because they've actually mentioned about getting the elbows up. Yeah. A lot of people will just reverse curl a clean, wouldn't they?
My man.
I actually have got a video coming up talking about actually why I prefer snatches over cleans.
100%.
Because you can't muscle. I mean, there is a move called the muscle snatch, but even that is relatively explosive.
Yeah.
Whereas a muscle clean can just be a bicep curl.
Yeah, snatch is better.
Snatches are much so.
That's easier.
Yeah, I really do prefer it. You just literally take the bar at your hips, jump, catch it overhead.
Yeah.
But there are so many different ways to do power. You've got all your different jumps. If anything, the clean often is too heavy to be effective and powerful. So, if it's your upper body that you want to get explosive as well, look at different sorts of plyometric push-ups. Just be careful; they don't have to be on the ground because again, that ends up being a push-up in a flat position. Sometimes can be somewhat too heavy to again push you in a dynamic way. You could don't feel like you're being a pussy by doing them on a bench or some sort of. Not necessarily on your knees, but if you're doing them on a bench or a box and elevating the height of where your hands are, you're using gravity, but you're also the idea is to move fast. And so if you're held back by your body weight and you're doing actual push-ups, maybe you're not.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think my bench is about 160, right?
Yeah.
And I struggle with explosive push-ups for more than 2 or 3 reps.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think anyone really needs to do them that hard. A lot of people you see them do them, they'll go down and to jump, they'll kick their hips in the air, and straighten their back out. And it's not what you think.
And it's the same. That's where improving technical parts of your it's like doing a butterfly pull-up.
Yeah.
You can look more explosive, but you're not really developing power. Or you can look like you're doing more pull-ups, but you're not really developing your upper back or your whole back musculature. If you didn't know, by the way, with that reference to butterfly pull-ups, we're in a CrossFit gym. We're actually at Alex's CrossFit LDN. Shout out to them for hosting us, but it's a little bit loud today.
Yeah.
We literally went live as a train went overhead, and we went live as they started to do a deadlift, aka if it's CrossFit, you've got to throw the bar on the ground as well as hard as you can for all the reps.
Yep.
Something else is being slammed now, but hopefully you guys can't hear that too loud. Excellent. Anyway, hopefully that answers the question about power work. You can still do whatever you want. There's lots of resources on the rest of the YouTube channel as well, like different jumps. Let's look at single leg jumps as well and jumping in different directions. That's massive for rugby. You're not just going up or forward. I mean, rarely are you going up.
I mean, did you see Pierce Howe's step at the weekend?
Yeah.
Fucking sick. But that's lateral power.
But that's and that's speed skater jumps there. Lateral, literally, it's planting that foot and being confident in driving that hip as far away as you can from your body. Yeah, got a video on that coming up as well.
Oh, yeah.
All right, backwards sprinting to strengthen the knees. This has been a question that's been asked repeatedly. So first, my big issue with this question is backwards sprinting. I don't think it needs to be sprinting. You're never it's a weird phrasing.
I don't think it can be sprinting.
No, right? Yeah, sprinting would apply. I mean, no, yeah. Backwards running I think this has been repopularized with knees over toes guy. He does backwards sled walks and stuff. Yeah. And I think that works. I think it can work because it just pumps blood in a certain way. Whether it's actually going to really strengthen the knees, particularly when you're doing other things that are going to strengthen the knees better, such as proper full range of motion lunges, split squats in general, anything where you're bending that knee and actually putting some weight for it and learning how to handle loads, single leg work, that's going to go much further to strengthen the knees. Anything else? You said you had stuff to say about it.
Yeah, basically the same what you said. I think it can't be sprinting unless it's over a certain velocity.
Yeah. Oh, right, yeah.
Apart from that, as long as you're putting low through the tendons, so I'm assuming that's what they're talking about, right? He's talking about tendon health more than anything else.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big deal.
It's a good way to get blood in that area to warm you up to then do. It's the same sort of theory I imagine as foam rolling.
Yeah.
Right, you foam roll to allow you to hit certain movements, and then the movements sort of allow you to get a better range of motion. Foam rolling itself doesn't help you get that range of motion.
I think I'd maybe do a higher speed, backwards running if it was like a coach player or maybe a test player. That's why the only time
backwards. Yeah, that actually is applicable.
Yeah, for code I do it, but not
for union. You don't run backwards. I actually had a big argument with one of my coaches in US because I was like, you don't fucking run backwards.
No,
you turn and you want to face them, but if you're running backwards, you're not in a position to tackle.
Someone's going to turn you inside out.
Yeah, you're fucked. Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, like it can help, but there's much better ways. In your professional opinion, this is all for you, mate. All right. Okay. I only included this because you made sure we asked it. So from Dean, he says, in your professional opinion, what's better at half time, rich tea biscuits or digestives? I mean, what? No, I have to point out that the digestives are the ones without chocolate, apparently.
Okay, not chocolate digestives.
And then he says full carb loading. Right, so let me just take off that part where he says for carb loading, because you don't carb load at half time. In fact, you don't do anything at half time. Like, if you sweets, maybe, and I've advocated for them, and I also advocate for them because they might just give like a bit of a mental pick me up. They're not going to be within your system like much. Maybe you get them for the last 15 minutes towards the end of the game if you're really lucky, but still then it's kind of unlikely. But there might be some sort of placebo effect that I'm not going to discount. But no.
Digestives better rich tea.
Oh yeah?
It's tastier.
Yeah, digestives are much better. Yeah. But I would also the digestives fattier. Have they got more butter?
I hope so.
But then if they're like biscuits are a terrible choice really because they're quite fatty, and if like fat is much harder to digest. That's why Haribo sweets, like just these common sweets, are the best thing to have around, because even though you're probably not going to digest it, like it's not going to be in your system like just sat there. Whereas fats will require quite a bit of blood flow into the stomach area, which then takes it away from the rest of your body that needs to actually play a fucking game of rugby.
It's just a false dichotomy. Like, don't
those two things.
Don't pick between two.
I know.
Pick something better.
Yeah. What biscuit would you have?
Oh, we'd have Jaffa cakes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not
that's a whole other.
Yeah, horrible.
Jaffa cakes aren't.
But if I had to choose a biscuit, Tim Tam.
Oh, that's just shout out to the Aussie people.
Yeah, I can Tim Tam.
You know what I used. Rocky's a chocolate bar, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not.
Rocky, mate, it's like a chocolate covered biscuit. It's like a Twix. Is a Twix a biscuit?
Nah. Twix is a biscuit inside a caramel flavoured biscuit bar. What biscuit would I have? I wouldn't have a rich tea. Fuck rich tea. You know what I'd have? No, I'd have Lotus.
Oh man, yeah, the biscuit. Fucking biscuit fucking incredible.
Fucking delicious. The problem with those is that they taste too good.
Oh.
So you've never had enough. You never had like enough, and you got.
I'll eat a whole jar of biscuits. Like, fucking straight out of the pot. Really, I've done that.
You'd want to stop playing your game. You'd be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to go eat biscuits. Right. All right. We're rattling off these Dean's questions because he asks them basically on every video. He says, "What about the ball worker? Old school isometrics."
Is this a sex thing?
Nah. So let me show you what the ball worker is. It's the spring-loaded contraption, I think.
Oh, okay.
Proper old school isometrics.
So there's a guy called Brock Kubrick, something like that. He's like an old school strength, old school strength guy, and he uses them all the time.
Really?
Yeah, he fucking loves them, and he's strong as shit. But I think maybe he got strong as shit in different ways than using that.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the ball worker.
Let me check his name. But I find his name for you. I'm not against it. I don't think it's.
I'm against it.
I think if you need isometric work, then get isometric work in.
The problem with it is like it's such a specific thing that it's not worth going over the use cases for it because it's so specific. Like anything really, like the carnivore diet has a real specific use where it can actually be feasible. Like running backwards has a specific use where it can be feasible. Like, but to use that as a sweeping thing that you should be using is
I would say you should be using it, but I'm not. Like, I have isometric work plan for people,
yeah.
so
I make sure, out of every 3 to 4 blocks of 4 to 8 weeks of training, there is one of those blocks contains consistent isometrics. One of those blocks contains consistent eccentrics, like controlled eccentrics or heavy eccentrics. Not really. I don't fuck with heavy eccentrics too much.
I use a lot of eccentrics.
It's just too fatiguing for.
I don't have to worry about rugby, right?
No, yeah, or sprinting or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, that is kind of heavy eccentrics anyway. Anyway, so you do want to get both, or you want to get all three. Everyone always gets concentric because it's fucking lifting, but you do want to have in the back of your mind at some point you want to throw in some isometrics, throw in some eccentrics, just because it really helps for like injury prevention as well, because you're coming under such different forces in a game of rugby that it's not just me push, me control down, me push again. No, it's you're resisting people coming at you from different angles. So holding eccentrics is good. Isometrics, obviously, with like scrums and rucks and stuff, like you're isometrically holding your position. So it doesn't. The problem with those stuff is that, especially isometrics, is that it doesn't really build strength. It's for the fatigue that it causes. It's not great at building long-term strength compared to lifting. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to control. It's a lot harder to get. It's impossible to get a range of motion benefit that you would do in rugby, right?
Yeah. So the isometric stuff will build like positional tolerance, which is similar strength around like a 10-degree angle that you hold it in. So it's not super useful for rugby. Like if you're going to scrummage, like you want that like 10 degrees around that 110-degree knee position. Mm-hmm. But that's about it. Like you don't.
Yeah, upper body isometrics can have their place, but you want to be specific with it. Again, I don't think it's that amazing at all. I mean, and the other thing, I guess, with the ball worker specifically, this is a question that you should have asked like during lockdown, right? Because maybe there's a time where you can only do bodyweight work, which is like real high reps, nothing really overly strenuous. You could then probably feasibly sprinkle that with a bit of ball worker where you're actually then pushing hard isometrically for a given time.
I did a ton of isometric work with people over lockdown.
Yeah.
Because how else do you get that super high output?
Yeah. Towel deadlifts was like, everyone was like, fuck these towel. Like, they're so fucking hard as well.
Like that.
Isometrics have a place, but that's all they have. Like they should not. I don't see any use case where they're the front of your program, like except maybe like end of preseason prop.
Maybe.
But even then, they're not at the front of your program. They're after a warm up, and then they're probably done first. But yeah,
maybe after injury as well. At the tendinopathy rehab. But yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're very good for that actually. Yeah. But that's
it's very specific, right? It's like
you're right. Heavy load for tendons is great. All right, what would you do if anything? Game day -1.
Go, mate.
Huh? You go first, mate. Because I've been talking too much.
If anything, I think it depends on what you like. I know there's an argument for like potentiation sessions and relatively like lower volume work. Higher end, honestly, I would do it by what you feel. Like, cause, for example, if I was to go and do a heavy double the day before a match, I'd be fucked.
Oh yeah.
But like, if you can't put that much stress for your body, like if you don't lift super heavy, potentially it's okay.
Yeah.
Or if you go and do a power movement, maybe. I just judge my feel.
It's so person specific. Like it's really hard to recommend, because for the most part we would say like you could say like don't train the day before a game, like no matter what, right? But reality is like a lot of people that are just getting into strength and conditioning like they just cannot produce the amount of fatigue that would really bother them for the next day. Like you could like some people could literally go in and do set of work to like a 3-rep max on squats, and because they're so untrained, go play the next day and be relatively okay. But you take you and work to a 3-rep max, you're dead for like 5 days, or anyone that's fairly trained, right? So that would and that's actually something that I've really made an effort to look towards with an upcoming program that we're releasing 6 weeks, where we're giving you the option to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday with your game Saturday, because that's just how a lot of people's schedule falls. Likewise, you can still do something if that is your program is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It would just have to be low volume to allow to alleviate fatigue. It's better than just doing Monday, Wednesday only training in season and then accepting not really getting better. You can still get a bit of quality work that's just enough to tick a box that will then help potentiate whatever you're going to do the following Monday and Wednesday, and sort of like carry on what you were doing on the previous Monday and Wednesday. On top of that, I think depends obviously on your train load for the week. We'll stick with the Monday, Wednesday, Friday for now. And if you're someone that is really trained, like you can then look to do sort of potentiating sessions, priming sessions, things such as like really low volume, heavy sprints. I say heavy sprints, but really low volume, like plyometric work, maybe power work, maybe has shown to be its benefits. In general, getting out and doing something for a lot of people, just getting blood flow through the body is good, because if you're sat doing nothing, you get a lot of nervous tension built up, and then you end up going into your warm-up like pretty tight. So just doing something the day before a game can be quite good. If you're in a pro team camps, we usually do like team runs on the day before a game, which is like perfect. Like that's what we used to do. We used to do like a real big power up for 10 minutes, no more than 10 minutes. You feel good, and then you run through the team run so that you're all on the same page, and then you've got through enough blood flow work, you're on the same page, and then you can forget about it, and then you want to think about the game before Saturday, which leads me on to like the thing that you really want to avoid is feeling like you need to do something on that Friday. Like if you're someone that works and you're busy, like don't worry about it. Like especially if you're busy, then you're already not worrying too much about the game. You're already moving probably enough, and any extra stress you put on top of that is just gonna fuck you for the next day. In an ideal world, you would at least train either the game day -1 or game day +1. I more often than not with people I work with, I give them the option. So we can either do some power stuff, low volume stuff on the day before a game, or we can do higher volume but lower, like real low intensity stuff the day after a game. I find that works quite well as well, like particularly for like wingers and stuff, just to get through some extra work, because that's an extra day. Otherwise you're really limiting the amount of time that you can. If you're not doing anything both game day -1 and game day +1, you've got such a small window to create all that gain, and you've got then quite a big window of 3 days where you're not actually promoting anything other than whatever you're expressing during a game.
Which isn't.
No, I mean it's high stress. It is fitness work, and it can be. You can reach speed. You can do speed work technically in a game, but not enough to warrant like having a day before and a day after. Like if you were planning it as a training program, you wouldn't do it like that. So think about it however your week would be planned. Game day -1 or game day +1. If you get into game day -1 and you're thinking, crap, I need to do something, just go out for a walk.
I was going to say, like, a little bit of very low intensity work anyway is probably not a bad idea.
No, yeah. And that sort of still counts as a day off.
Yeah, for sure. Like just sit on a bike, sit on a walk.
Yeah, go for a walk is like a fucking great idea.
Yeah. Give it a sun.
Yeah. And it's like, it's no biggie if you miss it, and it's no stress just to get it in. Whereas I think going to the gym, like in itself, just getting to the gym and thinking about what you've got to do, like that will cause an element of stress that probably is going to equate to a net negative overall with your game day performance.
Oh, do you? Literally, some days I just go for a 10-minute walk.
Nice. I might start doing that. because I'll do step counts sometimes.
Oh, really?
And I'll do step counts, but I'll be more specific about the days. Like if there's a heavy training day, I'm like, don't worry about your step count this day. Worry about your step like.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's also just good again because, like, the last thing I want is for people to be underfed. So if I can control step count, then we've got a bit more of an idea of.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That. I might start doing that.
It's very bodybuilding-esque.
Oh, man, if it works.
Okay. So on this, I guess this is a very sort of leading into question from the last one. How do you know how much to rest? Doesn't feel like there's enough days in the week.
How can you do too much work then?
Yeah, I mean that is so. I think how do you know how much to rest would be? Are you getting better? Like, are your numbers improving? Like, if you're asking this question week on week, you should be improving literally every single week. Like, when you get really advanced, you have to wait like in 4-week waves to get better. But even then, if you periodize smartly and you target specific things, you can get better week on week on week. And if you're getting better, like, great. Like, you don't need to add more stuff in. Like, that's you're getting enough rest and you're allowing yourself to get better. I think the biggest issue is that a lot of people do try to do, like, and this is something I say all the fucking time. People try and do too much in a week, and they don't try and do enough in like a year. Like, a year is a really fucking long time. So if you can spend just 3 months getting really fucking strong, and then 3 months like expressing that strength in power, like, that's 6 months of solid work, but it's focused work. At the time, it might not seem like a lot because you've dedicated that time, and that's what periodization is. That's what we fucking always talk about. It's like have maximum like 2 to 3 things that you're focusing on each block. Everything else goes like right back down on the back burner. And as long as those 2 to 3 things are getting better, then you don't need to rest less. You don't need to put more stuff in. You need to allow yourself to rest to get better. Like, you don't get better by doing more stuff. You get better by resting, adapting, and that's when you get better.
Yeah, I nothing else to add to that, man.
Really?
Yeah, like, as long as you're tracking your data, or you're tracking your numbers, and it's getting better, you must be recovered. You have to be. That's how it works. Yeah. Right. And if you're not getting better, then you're under recovered. Assuming your programming is an absolute dog shit.
Yeah. I think as far as like not feeling like there's enough days in the week as well, it's like, don't think about everything you've got to do and then go, okay, where can I fit all of this in? Like, think about what sessions you have available to you regularly. So, that's actually like one of the biggest things I do. You're probably different because your guys are always in the gym. They know, like, but I have a lot of people where the first thing I'll do with them is like sit them down and go like, right, what the fuck is your schedule? Like, when are you actually going to realistically make the gym 3 to 5 times a week? If you're in a season, if you're in off season, maybe we can look for 6, but I'll never throw out 6 from the beginning because it's just a lot of training.
No, I do the same. I get people to tell me how many days they're available, and I usually shave 1 or 2 days off that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because even then, like, let's say you stick to your programming for 5 years, like just in this perfect world that we live in. Like, we want somewhere to go. Like, even if you can train 5 days a week for 5 years, if you start on 3 and you max out those 3 days, you've still got 60%, 65% more days to put in.
Yeah.
Right, and then you can double down on days if you really want to, I guess. But
yeah, well, what I like to do is like I'll do like, what's the minimum that you can make a week? That'll be the program, and then there can be extra list work or extra whatever work if they feel like they need to. But even then, I don't like that a lot, because if you miss them, you feel bad. Like, the worst thing you can do is like, as soon as you miss a session, you feel like a fucking failure. Whereas if you just nail 3 sessions a week in that scenario, like if you nail 3 sessions a week 5 years, fuck, you've made so much progress. Like, there's no way you're not making progress, right? And there's no way you're saying, oh, fuck, I'm a piece of shit. Like, you're like, fuck yeah, I've trained 3 days a week for 5 fucking years, you know? No, I wasn't going to do that. No way. Whereas if you're someone that says, okay, I haven't, say you're that same person, and that you say, okay, I've got to go to the gym 5 times a week. You go for the first 2 weeks, then you miss 1 day because, fucking life happens, like no biggie, but now you've gone 4 days a week, which is still more than the person that was going 3, but you've seen that as a failure. and then maybe you blow out the next week because you're like, oh fuck, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do, and then you have to restart that process over and over and over again, and that is what leads to like people making not a lot of progress. So I think that in itself stems from there's like a scarcity for people when they don't know, like they don't understand programming, they don't really understand training, so they want to get everything at once. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the appeal of CrossFit in a way, is that people want to do everything at once. But when you get to the top level of CrossFit, or you get anyone that's any good at CrossFit, they'll spend specific phases working on just strength, and everything else will be on the back burner. Or they'll spend phases working on just gymnastic skills. And you know, even with people that train full time and their only job is to get better at all these different realms, you still just can't just train.
I think the answer to all these questions is get a coach that you trust.
Yeah, it really is. I know. Yeah, funny that. Rugby-muscle.com, or do you want to get people? Would you go to find you on Kabuki Strength? That's the best way. Find Alex on Kabuki Strength, which is where you'll find his coaching. Or rugby-muscle.com. Let me see if we've got any more questions on the live. I don't think we do, which is great.
There's definitely one there.
Where?
On the YouTube.
No, that's a viewer.
Oh no, I asked a question. It was when can we deadlift?
When can we deadlift? Where did you ask it really?
Yeah,
it's not coming up on the feed. I'm confused now. Then hold on.
This is just my internet being shit.
No, it's just software. We're wrapping this podcast up in a poor manner. But if you guys enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and ask any questions, because we'll probably do this again because I like this environment. Where have you asked this question? On the Facebook?
Yeah, on the YouTube.
No, mate.
It does not come up, is it?
No.
Oh well.
Does it come up? Maybe it's a live. It's not on the live chat. I can't scroll and find it.
Oh well, don't worry about it.
Oh well.
When can we deadlift?
When can we deadlift?
Yeah, well, both know deadlift.
We can deadlift ASAP. All right. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Please give this a thumbs up. I think if you appreciate this sort of content, you'll appreciate Rugby Muscle Kickoff, or you'll appreciate any of the coaching services that we offer and conditioning guides that we offer in the links below. We're really trying to make you think about training, because it would be cool if you could just like have hacks for everything and like not learn, but you ain't gonna get better, unfortunately. Like that's just the reality of the situation. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Any questions in the comments below? Subscribe if you're new. Thumbs up. Do it now if you haven't done it already. I'll wait. Okay, you done it? All right, cool. I'll see you guys in the next one. Say bye, Alex.
Bye, friend.